10 Omega watches that are appreciating fast. Here's the thing about Omega. It's not just another luxury brand. It's history on the wrist. The moon landings, Bond movies, Olympic timing, they've all passed through these dials. But lately, collectors aren't just buying for nostalgia. They're buying because Omega prices are climbing. In this video, we're breaking down 10 Omega watches that are appreciating fast. Models that are quietly gaining value while the market sleeps. Some are vintage icons, some are modern sleepers. All have one thing in common. They're trending up. So if you've ever thought about turning your passion into profit, or just want to know which Omega might actually beat inflation, stick around, because the #1 watch on this list might just change how you look at the brand forever. Before we jump in, hit that subscribe, like, and share button. It helps the channel more than you know. Now let's get into it. 10. Omega Seamaster Diver 300M, No Time to Die. The Seamaster Diver 300M, No Time to Die, introduced in 2020, marked a turning point for Omega's Bond legacy, a collaboration built on authenticity rather than product placement. Designed with direct input from Daniel Craig, it captures the spirit of a field watch made for service, not spectacle. Crafted entirely from Grade 2 titanium, the case and mesh bracelet exude a soft, matte finish that's light yet remarkably strong. On the wrist, it feels purposeful, tough enough for action, but elegant enough for everyday wear. The tropical brown aluminum bezel and dial give it a naturally aged tone, paired with vintage superluminova and a gently domed sapphire crystal that add depth and warmth. Under the surface, it runs on Omega's Calibre 8806, a META-certified coaxial master chronometer, offering 55 hours of power reserve and magnetic resistance up to 15,000 Gauss. This is the same movement powering Omega's flagship professional divers. Engineered precision hidden behind understated style. At launch, the watch retailed around $9,200, but it quickly gained collector respect for its design honesty and comfort. By 2025, market prices hover between $11,500 to $13,500, and unworn sets occasionally cross higher. The appreciation is steady, built on long-term credibility rather than hype. What makes it special is how natural it feels. The first Bond watch that seems genuinely worn by Bond, not made for a movie poster. It's tactical yet refined, cinematic yet sincere. That's why it takes the #10 spot, a watch that blends storytelling, craftsmanship, and quiet strength. 9. Omega Railmaster 65th Anniversary. Quietly confident and deeply rooted in Omega's industrial past, the Railmaster's 65th anniversary celebrates the brand's 1957 original, a watch designed not for astronauts or divers, but for engineers and scientists who worked around magnetic fields. It's the underdog of Omega's trilogy, but also the one that feels most timeless. Released in 2017 alongside the Seamaster 300 and Speedmaster 65th, this Railmaster captures the soul of the 1950s original with modern precision. The 38mm brushed steel case, matte black tropical dial, and vintage tone lume recreate the warmth of age without imitation. Even the broad arrow hands and old-style Omega logo are drawn straight from archival sketches, a subtle nod to when the brand was building instruments, not status symbols. Inside beats the Calibre 8806, a coaxial master chronometer tested to 15,000 Gauss, quietly one of the most anti-magnetic movements ever made. Originally priced around $6,800, it hovered below the radar for years while collectors chased Speedmasters. But by 2025, the narrative shifted. Its restrained design and low production numbers sparked a second wave of interest. Clean full-set examples now trade between $8,000 to $9,000 with steady momentum. The Railmaster 60th doesn't need marketing flash. Its appeal lies in proportion, purpose, and quiet integrity, the kind of watch that tells its story only to those who listen. 8. Omega Speedmaster, first Omega in space. The Speedmaster, first Omega in space, FOIS, captures one of the most important chapters in Omega's story, and does it with understated grace. Introduced in 2012, This model pays homage to astronaut Wally Schirra, who wore his personal Omega CK 2998 during the Sigma 7 mission in 1962. That moment marked history. It was the first Omega ever worn in space, 7 years before the moon landing. The FOIS reimagines that original CK 2998 with precision and restraint. Its 39.7mm stainless steel case sits perfectly between vintage proportion and modern comfort, a size that wears as elegantly as the original pre-moon models. The straight lugs, alpha hands, and applied Omega logo are period-correct details that make collectors smile. Every line feels faithful, deliberate, and pure. The matte black dial has a quiet charm. No professional text, no overbranding, just balanced subdials and crisp typography. It's powered by the hand-wound Calibre 1861, the same workhorse movement that drove Moonwatches for decades. There's no rotor hum here, only the tactile pleasure of winding it each morning, just like Schirra did before strapping in for orbit. When launched, retail was about $5,300, and the FOIS lived in the shadows of the modern Speedmaster professional for years. Then in 2020, Omega quietly discontinued it, and demand surged. Collectors realized it was one of the last classically sized, pre-moon-style Speedmasters still using the 1861. By 2025, market prices range between $7,500 to $10,000, depending on condition, with mint sets climbing even higher. Its rise isn't hype-driven, it's earned. The FOIS represents purity of design and continuity of story. It connects the elegance of Omega's early space era with modern reliability, serving as a bridge between vintage passion and wearable practicality. That's why it holds the number 8 spot. The first Omega in space proves that you don't need gold, ceramic, or celebrity tie-ins to create a collectible. Sometimes, the most valuable thing a watch can offer is honesty and a direct line to the stars. 7. Omega Speedmaster, Snoopy Award, 45th Anniversary. Few watches capture emotion the way the Speedmaster Snoopy Award 45th Anniversary does. Released in 2015, it celebrates Omega's role in the Apollo 13 mission, when astronauts relied on their Speedmasters to time a crucial 14-second engine burn that saved their lives. For that, NASA honored Omega with the Silver Snoopy Award, a symbol of excellence and ingenuity. At first glance, it's classic Moonwatch, a 42mm stainless steel case, Hesalite crystal, and manual wind Calibre 1861. But then you see the story unfold across the dial. The crisp white enamel background is sprinkled with black comic strip details. What could you do in 14 seconds? Arcs above the minute track, while a sleeping Snoopy rests at 9 o'clock, floating inside a dream bubble over the words, "Failure is not an option." It's playful, yes, but also deeply human. A tribute to precision under pressure. Turn it over and you meet the part that turned this watch into legend. A solid silver Snoopy medallion mounted on a deep blue enamel caseback, speckled with silver powder to mimic the night sky. Each caseback was individually handcrafted, making every piece slightly unique. Limited to 1,970 pieces, it retailed for roughly $6,100 and sold out instantly. Today in 2025, it commands $35,000 to $45,000, depending on condition, a staggering appreciation that few modern Omegas can match. Collectors aren't just buying rarity, they're buying meaning. The Snoopy stands out because it's both serious and whimsical. It honors human resilience, engineering precision, and a small cartoon beagle that came to represent courage in crisis. It's proof that a chronograph can tell more than time, it can tell a story. That's why it lands at number 7. The Omega Speedmaster Snoopy Award isn't only one of the brand's most collectible watches. It's one of its most heartfelt creations, a reminder that humor, hope, and precision once saved 3 men stranded in space. 6. Omega Speedmaster, Apollo 11, 50th Anniversary. The Speedmaster. Apollo 11 50th Anniversary, launched in 2019, is one of Omega's most elegant tributes to the moon landing. Part celebration, part evolution. Limited to 6,969 pieces, it honors the first step on the moon, with a design that balances subtle luxury and pure storytelling. The 42mm stainless steel case features accents of 18-karat moonshine gold, a unique pale alloy created by Omega to resist fading over time. On the black onyx dial, the hands, markers, and logo shine in gold. But the true highlight sits at 9 o'clock. A finely engraved image of Buzz Aldrin stepping onto the lunar surface. The detail feels cinematic, yet respectful. It's the past immortalized in metal. Inside beats the Calibre 3861, a hand-wound coaxial master chronometer that fuses the heritage of the old 1861 with 21st century precision. It's anti-magnetic, meta-certified, and built to perform decades into the future. Proof that Omega doesn't just look back. It upgrades its own legends. Retail was around $9,600, and the model sold out instantly. By 2025, resale prices range from $13,000 to $15,000, with sealed sets climbing higher. The appreciation is steady because it ticks every collector box: limited production, historical weight, mechanical innovation, and timeless design. What makes this watch special isn't gold or rarity, it's emotion. The engraved caseback reads, "That's one small step for a man," grounding the piece in human achievement. Every element feels purposeful, from the lunar engraving to the precision of the movement inside. That's why it earns number 6. The Apollo 11 50th Anniversary Speedmaster isn't a commemorative gimmick. It's a milestone watch, one that bridges Omega's greatest moment with its modern mastery. 5. Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra, 150 meters green dial. Sliding into number 5 is a watch that proves not every Omega investment piece has to be a Speedmaster or a limited edition. The Seamaster Aqua Terra green dial, released in 2022, represents the quiet rise of modern luxury. Timeless design, top-tier movement, and a dial color that's defining a generation of collectors. At 41 millimeters, the watch hits the sweet spot, slim enough for a cuff, bold enough for a statement. The case is fully polished steel, paired with Omega's signature teak pattern dial, inspired by the wooden decks of luxury yachts. But here, it's the green sunburst finish that steals the show. A deep forest tone that shifts from olive to emerald under light, exuding confidence without shouting for attention. Inside, the coaxial master chronometer Calibre 8900 keeps perfect rhythm. Twin barrels for a 60-hour reserve, magnetic resistance up to 15,000 Gauss, and precision tested under the toughest meta standards. Flip it over, and the sapphire caseback reveals a movement that looks as refined as the front dial feels. When it launched, retail sat around $6,300. But by 2025, rising demand for versatile, everyday luxury pieces has pushed resale values to $8,000 to $9,000. It's not rare, it's desired. And that steady upward curve tells a clear story. Design and wearability are finally being valued like hype and scarcity once were. The Aqua Terra green dial earns its spot here for its balance. Sporty yet elegant, modern yet timeless. It's the Omega that doesn't need to go to space or 600 meters underwater to turn heads. It just has to catch the light. That's why it stands at number 5. A new era Omega classic, proving that sometimes the watches that age best are the ones built for every day. 4. Rolex GMT Master 2, the Traveler's Crown. Landing at number 4, we meet the watch that turned global travel into an art form, the Rolex GMT Master 2. For decades, this model has been the choice of pilots, explorers, and dreamers who measure life in time zones, not hours. Introduced in the late 1980s and produced until 2007, the 16710 sites at a sweet intersection of vintage charm and modern precision. It carries the Calibre 3185 automatic movement, upgraded to the 3186 in later years, allowing independent hour-hand adjustment, a true traveler's complication. Its 40mm stainless steel case, rotating 24-hour bezel, and dual-time functionality give it both technical depth and a personality that feels alive on the wrist. What makes this reference unforgettable is its color story. The Pepsi bezel, red-blue, the Coke bezel, red-black, or the stealthy all-black version, each tells a different tale. The Pepsi evokes Pan Am's jet-age glamour. The Coke whispers late-night terminals and neon cities. The black variant, understated and cool, speaks to quiet confidence. Whichever you choose, the look is unmistakably Rolex. Unlike many hyped steel sports models of today, the 16,710 still floats near the $5,000 range in well-worn or earlier examples. It's one of the few GMT masters where real collectors still talk about value and history in the same sentence. You're not buying an investment piece here. You're buying one of the purest expressions of Rolex adventure design. On the wrist, the GMT Master 2 wears beautifully, slim case profile, perfect balance, and a dial that reads cleanly in any light. It's practical, yes, but it also carries emotion. 3. Omega Speedmaster Professional Moonwatch. The Speedmaster Professional Moonwatch isn't just another chronograph. It's the most famous tool watch ever made, a piece of equipment that literally went to the moon. Since 1969, it's been on the wrists of astronauts, engineers, and collectors who know that some legends don't need marketing, just mileage. The latest generation, launched in 2021, refines rather than replaces. The Calibre 3861 inside, a hand-wound coaxial master chronometer, brings modern accuracy, anti-magnetic protection, and META certification to the same watch that timed the Apollo missions. You still wind it by hand, but now it runs within a few seconds per day and shrugs off magnetic fields that would kill most mechanicals. The design stays true to the classic, a 42mm asymmetrical case, dot over 90 tachymeter bezel, stepped black dial, and that satisfying Hesselite distortion when light hits the crystal. Even the new bracelet, thinner, more fluid, perfectly tapered, finally wears like a vintage piece without feeling dated. Originally retailing around $6,400, the Moonwatch now trades for $8,500 to $9,500 in 2025, with earlier 3,861 batches commanding premiums. The appreciation isn't explosive. It's steady, driven by what the market trusts most: timeless design and proven legacy. Collectors see it as a rite of passage. You don't really own an Omega collection until you have a Moonwatch. It's the one watch that connects every generation of enthusiasts, from the space race era to the modern-day investor. That's why it ranks number 3, a watch that transcends hype, unites history and precision, and continues to rise, not because it's rare, but because it's real. The Moonwatch doesn't just mark time, it marks achievement. 2. Omega Constellation Globemaster Master Chronometer. At number 2, we have a watch that embodies elegance, precision, and understated luxury. The Omega Constellation Globemaster Master Chronometer. Released in 2015, it reintroduced the iconic Constellation line with a modern twist, becoming one of Omega's most refined and respected models in the process. With a 39mm case, the Globemaster strikes the perfect balance between contemporary size and classic appeal. The stainless steel case is paired with an elegant sunburst silver dial, featuring the signature pie pan shape that harkens back to vintage models from the 1950s. Its striking gold or rhodium accents, depending on the version, bring an added layer of refinement without overwhelming the design. This watch doesn't shout. It commands attention with its subtle beauty. Inside, the coaxial master chronometer, Calibre 8900 beats with Omega's cutting-edge technology, offering 60 hours of power reserve, magnetic resistance up to 15,000 Gauss, and precise timekeeping that has passed the METAS certification test. It's not just about style, it's engineered for real-world performance. When it debuted, the Globemaster retailed at around $8,000, which was a reasonable entry point for a watch of its pedigree. But by 2025, demand for elegant, versatile timepieces has pushed the resale value up to around $9,500 to $11,000. What makes the Globemaster stand out is its timeless design. It bridges the gap between a classic dress watch and a modern luxury timepiece. That's why it earns number 2. The Omega Constellation Globemaster is the perfect example of a watch that quietly grows in value, combining heritage, technical prowess, and refined design into one package that's destined to be a classic for years to come. 1. Omega Speedmaster, Apollo 8 Dark Side of the Moon. At the top of the list stands a Speedmaster that bridges heritage and innovation. The Apollo 8 Dark Side of the Moon. Introduced in 2018, it's a technical showpiece that celebrates the first manned mission to orbit the moon, blending deep storytelling with cutting-edge craftsmanship. Its 44.25mm black ceramic case and yellow accents give it a stealth modern aesthetic, while the skeletonized dial reveals the beating heart of the watch. The Calibre 1869, a hand-wound movement specially finished to resemble the lunar surface. On the dial side, you see the bright, sunlit face of the moon. Flip it over, and the case back shows the dark, cratered far side. A stunning mechanical metaphor for Apollo 8's journey around the moon. At launch, it retailed for around $9,750, accessible for such craftsmanship. By 2025, the watch trades between $13,000 to $15,000, with prices climbing as collectors rediscover the appeal of complex hand-wound Speedmasters that aren't simply vintage remakes. Its rise comes from authenticity. The watch carries the line's DNA, manual wind, chronograph, lunar story, but in a modern shell of ceramic open-work bridges and laser-etched textures. It's bold yet restrained, futuristic yet deeply tied to Omega's past. That's why it takes the #1 spot. The Speedmaster Apollo 8, Dark Side of the Moon, is proof that Omega's next icons don't have to look backward. And that wraps up our countdown of 10 Omega watches that are appreciating fast. From deep-sea beasts to lunar legends. What ties them together isn't just value, it's story. Each of these watches carries a moment in time, a mission, a discovery, a design breakthrough. If you've made it this far, you already get it. Collecting isn't just about profit, it's about owning a piece of what endures. And Omega's secret has always been that balance. Innovation that feels timeless, history that still ticks. So if you found a watch here that speaks to you, don't just chase the chart, chase the connection. Before you go, hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who can't resist a good chronograph story. I'll see you in the next one, where time, history, and obsession meet on the wrist.